Hi, welcome to the Innovation Show. My name is Dr. Tony Mwansa, and today I have the honor of hosting one of my great friends on innovation, someone who's for several years that I've known him very passionate about innovation, and we're going to be talking about things like Science Park, the infrastructure that we need to support innovation, Makerspace, Fab Labs, and things like that. So my guest today is Dr. Richard Ayah, the director of the Science Park of the University of Nairobi. So here we go. We want to understand the infrastructure that we need to support innovation. And I came across this Science Park concept and the Fab Labs and the Makerspace as the kind of environment that people visit and then they interact with the machines and people, whatever. So why don't you try and make it very clear to us? Tell us, what is the Science Park? What is the Makerspace? What is the Fab Lab?
This is a traditional definition of a science park, which is a big open space, buildings, and then people expected that there'd be laboratories, people in white coats and so on. The concept that we have of Science Park is that it's a space where we get different groups of people to come and innovate, which is basically to find solutions to the problems that we have. So that, in a nutshell, is what it is. So we have, within the University of Nairobi, the Science Park, we have a couple of labs, and they're prototyping labs where people come with ideas, and you got to turn that into some kind of a product. And it's that product that we can then take forward and get it into a commercial space. So I'll give you some examples of what we have done. So we have a project to save lives, newborns and mothers. And what we did was that we identified the equipment that is lacking in our major hospital, which is Kenyatta National Hospital, and went through a research process to identify 9 pieces of equipment. And so far we have prototyped 3, and 2 of those are ready to go to market. So that's the kind of example of what the lab will do. We have the engineers, but we need people to come and give those engineers their problems, and then we're able to produce the products.
So is that a Fab Lab?
The Fab Lab is the Makerspace. That's the Makerspace. Okay. So that's one of the labs.
Okay, it's one of the labs. So I've heard about the Maker movement.
Yes.
What is the Maker movement?
The Maker movement are these groups of people. So for example, the Maker movement that's operating in Kenya now is going to be the engineers, it's going to be medics like myself, it's going to be the nurses in Kenyatta, it's going to be the business people who come back together and put everything together. So it's all that put together. Those are the people who are innovating. So innovation is about the system. It's not about one inventor coming and trying to produce a thing.
So I know you recently launched the Makerspace in Kenya, and it received a lot of attention. First of all, it would be useful to understand what some of the partners you're working with in building that Makerspace.
So we have both local partners. So like I mentioned, Kenyatta National Hospital is one of our partners as University of Nairobi. We also had Concern Worldwide, who are our partners, also our donor, providing some of the funding towards producing the machines that we produced.
I am a computer scientist. I've got some idea. I want to build something and it has some programming elements to it. I need to build some software and I want to fabricate something maybe.
So you come to one of our labs. So we have our website, through Twitter, however you come in, or you can just walk in physically to one of our labs, whether it's here in the main campus or it's in Kabete. And we have a process in terms of whether what you have is an idea, whether it's something that has gone a little further, you've thought about it a little bit more. And then we'll figure out how we can get involved. So some people just come and say, look, I've already got the idea, what I need you to do is just fabricate. Somebody else will be like, no, I need a bit more input. And maybe it's an input from the business side, maybe it's an input from the software, whatever it is. And then we get people from different parts of the university to help you work that through.
How do you see the Makerspace looking like the next 2-3 years?
That Makerspace, I mean, one of the things that happened in the launch, one of the issues that we've identified was gender. The fact that we didn't have a lot of women, and it's sort of become a thing. We don't have a lot of women in the space. So one of the things we're trying to do is figure out how to encourage more women to come in. And so we're engaging the ministry, the Department of Gender in that. So we expect in the next few years we're going to get a lot more going. I think personally that a lot of innovation is going to come out of graduate school rather than undergraduate. People need the basic training first, so that you have a proper grounding in some particular area. And then after that, then now you can begin to think, to innovate, rather than sort of replicating something you think is a gap. I'm not saying that undergraduates can't do it, but I think that they need some basic training, and then we can move on from there. So we're working also around multidisciplinary teams. So already we have the health team, we have the engineers on board, we have some software people on board. We're speaking to architects as well to bring them on board. We're speaking to mathematicians as well. And we've got a little, not little, it's actually quite big. It's £1 million water and sanitation project. And part of it is we want to look at the innovation. Yeah, how do we improve water and sanitation in the region? So I have a health background, and we have our health issues. I'll give you one little example. We had an engineer walk into a health center, because we take the different groups of health, and he looked and said, why are the machines arranged in this way? And the medics were like, but that's the way we work. And said, no, this is not efficient at all. That's a management solution but it takes an engineer to look at that and say, no, this is all rubbish. The Fab Lab is across the street from where we are, so within the School of Engineering, here at the main campus. So it's open all hours. Actually, the young guys, they work late. The Makerspace is in the College of Agriculture. So if you're there, there's yogurt, trees, very cool, good for thinking. So that's the other space that we have. We have got a whole set of new equipment that's come in. So I mentioned stuff like 3D printers, laser cutters. We have a lot of software as well to run. We have pick and place machines coming in. So we're able to etch in circuits. So you can make from a very basic phone. We can add stuff onto a phone. We can cut material all the way up to furniture. Yeah, and print in 3D. I'll give you an example of what we're doing, one little project that we're doing with a hospital. We have people who come in, people get eye injuries. And between the point when you're injured and the point when your eyeball is repaired, you need a false eye. Now that requires that bit to be imported. So you wander around without an eyeball for months. We just got a little project to design the eyeballs, because every eyeball is slightly different. Your eye is a little bit bigger than mine, so you need something a little bit bigger. Until today, there have been 2 technicians in Kenya that could do this for you. Those are the kind of little projects, and we were approached by an eye surgeon who said, you mentioned a 3D printer. You're in this space, can you help me? Because I can't do surgery because I only have 1 technician, and she can only do 2 or 3 in a week because it's hand done.
I'm glad at least the Makerspace and the Fab Lab provide a platform that enables us to solve certain problems and challenges. And you know, for us, we define innovation in a very simple way. It is change that adds value. We want to identify a scenario, and we think we can move that scenario to point B, and in the process we add some value and, you know, impact people, change lives, and things like that. So it's been an honor to host you, Dr. Richard Ayah, and I like your passion and commitment, because you've been at this for a while, and glad to see some of the fruits. So this has been the innovation show, and we use this show to explore various elements of innovation, you know, thinking through the pipeline, thinking through the skills, the policy issues, the capacities, the impact, the kind of solutions that have come out of typical innovation processes or settings. And so we look forward to engaging further in future on other topics. You're welcome to follow us. My social identification is on Twitter, TONNY'S, Facebook, TONNY'S, Instagram, TONNY'S. See you next time. Bye.